So good morning. It is Wednesday, February 7th, 2018. Welcome to Java with Jerry. We're glad you're here. We have a big show for you today, and we will, of course, touch and do a little commentary on the news. And our guest is Chris Reese from Cal State Fullerton. So those of you that know Chris know he's done a lot of interesting things. Someone's banging outside the studio. So if you hear that banging, that's brought to you by a sponsor. I don't know who, but they're doing repairs somewhere, and so we're hearing it. Anyway, glad to have you here. We're here every Wednesday morning. By now you know to go to Orange Sliced to sign up for emails. Please do that and let us know that you're listening. A little bit about what we're going to do today. We're going to talk to Chris. We're going to do our You Can't Make This Up, Can't Make This Stuff Up feature. We'll talk a little bit about the news, and then we'll give you a heads up on what's going on in future weeks. So, a little bit about Chris Reese. Chris Reese, as you know, is Executive Director for Corporate and Community Outreach and Extended Education, International Programs, and Global Engagement. Holy worldwide reach there, Batman. It's a big job at the university. We will talk to him about all of that stuff and about what he has done in his previous activities at Cal State Fullerton, and then, of course, what the university is doing in the future. On to the news stuff, and here's your Java news. On the national front, looks like tomorrow we're looking at another government shutdown. Weren't we just talking about this a week ago or so? Here we are back at it again. And of course, they're negotiating, trying to figure out what they're going to do to keep us from having a shutdown. They just have to get their act together and fund the government. So stay tuned on that. Who knows what's happening? The last time they shut down, though, they were smart. They shut down on the weekend when virtually nobody was around. So maybe they'll keep their shutdown contained. Statewide news, the bullet train is apparently causing some repercussions in different ways than people had anticipated. So whenever you're going to do a public works project, there are some takes that you have to do of public land and sometimes of privately held land, and to give yourself a corridor to build the train. So they've been busy doing that while they've been planning to build in the Central Valley. Well, the net result of that is that they've created like a 100-yard wide strip on either side of wherever they're going to be building, of abandoned buildings and homes and factories and farms and the like. And of course, the homeless have moved in and the criminal element has moved in, and they've had fires there. So it's creating a real public safety problem all along the corridor, which the rail authority that's building and the local jurisdictions are having to deal with. It's turning into a nightmare there. So keep an eye on what happens if you're up in that area as you're driving through, because it's looking pretty bleak around there. And I'm not certain that they're going to get all their funding. So who knows what happens with all of that once it doesn't occur, if it doesn't occur. Keep an eye on the bullet train. It's got, lots of issues, and now it's got issues of land use around it. And then for our local story, so this is a local story I just picked for a couple of reasons. One, because I found it interesting, and two, because it sort of dovetails with my sports story of the day. Apparently in Big Bear, there is a pairing of eagles. Eagles mate for life. They're one of the few birds that do that, apparently. And they're expecting eaglets. As of Saturday, they've got a couple of eggs that were laid. They're expecting 2 little eagles to be born on Saturday, if eagles are on time. I don't know if they're like humans, who are notoriously either early or late, but Saturday's the big day for the eagles. And apparently there's an eagle watch going on, because they got a camera on it that I saw this morning. And the eagles are nesting. Now, why did I pick an eagle story? I'm wearing green in honor of Jeff Lolloway and the rest of the Eagle fans for their huge Super Bowl victory. We've been, talking about it in previous weeks about the Super Bowl coming. It was quite the Super Bowl to see. Not a lot of defense from teams who are vaunted to have great defenses. Lots of scoring, and it went down to the end, and Brady had the ball, and he could have done Brady magic, but nope. Eagles came through, knocked the ball out of his hand, took possession, and they never looked back. So congratulations to the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. They're going to have their parade. Is their parade this week? I think it's Friday. They're going to have their parade in Philadelphia, and so congratulations to the world champion Eagles. And that's your Java with Jerry news. Let me bring Chris in and do a little introduction. Chris, come on over and come join me on set. Good to have you here.
Good to be here, Jerry.
Don't step on your cord coming in, yeah. So we'll get in trouble with Julie if we do that. Let me tell you a little bit about Chris. I know most of you know him. He is the Executive Director of Corporate and Community Outreach for the university's Extended Education, International Programs, and Global Engagement, as I told you earlier. In that capacity, he serves as a liaison to both the corporate and community world in workforce development, in professional development and training, in skill-based programs, and has workshops and a lot of other resources that he has available. We'll talk about all of that. Before he had that position, you know him probably in his years as Director of State and Community Relations. I swear to God, they're building a building out here or something today. I think we have window washers out there banging against the side of the building. Anyway, you know him in that previous role as a Director of State and Community Relations for Cal State. There he did what he was so familiar with in his previous life, and kept in touch with all the local leaders throughout the region. He also served as an adjunct faculty member in the Division of Politics and Administration, and he's been doing that, I think, since 2013, yep. Right? So it's for a few years now. He was a former chair of the North Orange County Chamber of Commerce. He served on so many committees at the campus, I can't even go through them all, but he was on the Inauguration Steering Committee, the Strategic Plan Steering Committee, the WSC Interim Report Steering Committee that has to do with accreditation of colleges, and he's responsible for the Placentia Incubator, the Fullerton Center for Healthy Neighborhoods, and the John D. Cooper Center, which we'll ask him about along the way. And before that, in his previous life, had been an executive vice president of Iger and Associates with offices in Irvine and Palm Desert, where he did contracts for all kinds of private and public entities, and did regional planning agencies, city and county departments, and commissions, and dealt with public policy in all of those places. Did a brief stint with Assemblyman Lynn Dauscher, so he was a representative in the field for Lynn when she was in the legislature, has a master's degree in public administration and a bachelor's degree in political science from his alma mater, Cal State, where now he's gone from student to professor. So welcome aboard.
Absolutely.
Glad to have you here.
Glad to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about the university, Chris, because you've been there now for a long time. Talk about sort of Cal State's place in the Orange County landscape, what it means as an institution, how it differs from your colleagues in education, that kind of thing.
Great. Well, yeah, I've been there 9 years now, but actually it's a place so nice I've never left. I started it as an undergrad, went through my grad. Now I've been an alumni, a student, a faculty member, a staff member, a donor.
Do you have a permanent parking place? Do they just have the Chris Reese parking place and you sit next to the president? You've been there so long?
But I love the place, and a big reason why I love it is the mission. You know, Cal States are the workhorses of higher education. We've got
Kate, I know you're listening to this. So
absolutely.
Just prepare to rebut.
I was just going to say, we've got the research institutions in the UCs where basic research and knowledge generation is happening. Yeah. We've got the community colleges with the open access mission, helping anyone to get a college degree, or what is so desperately needed in the world are good vocational technical educations.
And preparing people to come up and get degrees at the four-year institutions.
Bringing them through their general education in what is, let's be honest, since the 1950s, the most affordable, effective, and efficient higher education system in the world here in California, something taxpayers have invested heavily in. Where do Cal States fit? Cal States are the applied learning environment. We're giving you hands-on, partnered research with our faculty members. We're working with the community businesses to figure out what are your workforce needs and how can we solve those problems.
Right.
How can we bring you students prepared for the workforce? But also, how can Cal States, serve as that place for students to learn on the job? Yeah. How do we do more internships, more co-curricular activities, engaging our students? Cal States have this wonderful spot somewhere between
a niche.
Niche, right? Yeah. But more than that, we are a Hispanic serving institution. We serve a huge community of those that are coming up in the world and looking for their new opportunities. Yeah. Over 50% are first generation, first time anyone's going to college in their family are our students. Yeah. And so we actually become this transformative environment. We're a place where we change your stars. If you didn't come to a Cal State, you may never see the income generation in your life. You may never see the career opportunities. You may never be able to take advantage of those things.
Or learn the skills for the 21st century.
Or learn the skills.
Because they're different now in education than they were years ago when we were matriculating as undergrads, back when you didn't have a parking place without a permit. So
that's right.
Let's talk a little bit, though, about the fact that Cal State also sort of has world-class programs. It has a renowned music program that people all over the world pay attention to. It's got a great nursing program in its science department. It's got a fabulous business school, the Mahalo School. So talk a little bit about why in a Cal State situation those things seem to emerge to bubble to the top.
I think when you look at Orange County, and as a regional comprehensive university, we are not only a model for the nation and how you fit your region and mold after what that region is, we are a leader when it comes to programming that fits our community. So why do those programs become successful? Because we model Orange County. Orange County's got a phenomenal business community. Our business school mirrors that. We've got an accounting program unlike any other. Well, no surprise in a county that has insanely important finance institutions. Nursing is strong, medical care and the health institutions of Orange County are so strong.
And the incubators for new inventions for medical
and the incubators, the fact that our hospitals have been willing to have our nurses have the hours in operation in the hospitals. This is where those programs can succeed. We're able to connect with our corporate partners, bring our students in there, have internships that pair them with these companies so that the learning environment of the classroom is then paired with an appropriate learning environment outside of the classroom.
But now you're taking it to a new level. So you've got a new gig. Let's talk about that. How are those programs crafted? Where does this happen? Do you have an incubator on campus where you've got the people sitting there saying, "This is how we're going to write the curriculum for this enterprise"?
So, in fact, that's half of my life is sitting in our business and program development shop and thinking, how are we going to build this? So, if a company comes to us, we'll bring in our program designers who are going to look at the needs you have. We're going to look at our stock of existing programs and see, can we customize something for you? If we can't, we're going to say, what can we build quickly? And I'm talking within a quarter. I want to be able to go from having you say, I need some support, to starting the program. If you come to me...
So entrepreneurs, listen to this, because this is something you won't find in a lot of places. You can go to a world-class university and say, this is what I'm looking for to train my peeps, and Chris is going to find the campus resources, essentially, the brilliant academicians who will either tweak what they've already got or build it for you. That's a huge resource.
Yeah, where they're going, and you're going to have somebody who is fitting the Cal State Fullerton brand. It's going to feel like you've got the largest CSU in the system and one of the largest universities in the country sitting in your front door saying,
you have 40,000 people on your campus. It's not like you're without resources. So this is an interesting thing. So how does let's say I'm a student and I am interested in a particular industry. How do I get engaged with that and say, all right, now you're going to do training for these people. Can I jump in and say, I want to go to this extended course?
Oh, absolutely. So our courses, one thing is we offer a whole stock of courses that are just open for anyone who's interested as lifelong.
In general extended education.
In general extended education.
Got it.
And moving forward, the model is to offer a lot of these skills courses a la carte. The more we can get you to just want to take advantage of that. Now, if you're a student who says, I really want to be in this industry. This industry is really important to me. I want to skill up in this industry and I want to engage. That's when I bring all my partners to the table. I go to the Career Center. I go to our major advisors and our colleges. I go to our partners in the industry, and we find you a path.
Yeah, see, that's a cool customization of your path through education so that you're picking the right industry for you and you're finding a college to support your matriculation and what you need to know so that when you get out in the workplace, because you've customized it and you know this industry, they've got the skills that the employer is looking for.
And let me tell you, this is pure mission for us.
Yeah.
We need to graduate our students and we need to give them the tools that they are required to get a job.
Right?
And so for us, it's not just because the governor wants us to do it and that's our funding and things like that.
No, it's also the school's sort of mantra.
If I can graduate you, help you get a job, get you through the pathway, and you're going to come back as a productive alumni, you're going to say great things about us, and we're going to engage you through the rest of your career.
Yeah, that's great. How am I doing on time, Julie? Good. Okay, so I've got more time. Let me ask you, there's a global component to this that you and I spoke about a little bit the other night. Share with our listeners what you guys are doing on sort of a broader global reach.
Big global. So there is a concept called Study Away, which is just without a passport, we want to send you to study in other places other than Orange County. Beyond that, there's study abroad. I think we all know a little bit about what study abroad is. We're going to send you to another country. We want you to learn that culture. We want you to start to learn how to do business in that country. But when those other countries want to engage with us, Orange County is a very wealthy community. It's a great place to do business. It's a great place to come across and work with us.
And a big magnet for business.
It's a huge magnet. It's a magnet for intelligence. It's a magnet for students. And for us, we need a pathway for those students to come here. We want to be able to be accessible to students from throughout the world who want to learn here and get a degree here.
Yeah.
And we see a great benefit in the diversity that brings, and the diversity of thought, the diversity of culture. And so on the global engagement side, it's this exchange. How do we get students from here to go experience other cultures? How do we get other people from other cultures to come here and learn and engage?
And this is part of your mission in your division.
This is part of our mission. So any international student that's going to come to campus is going to come through us. We're going to help them through the process. We're going to curate the relationship. We've got large populations right now coming in from India and China. It should be no surprise. Those countries want to invest in America.
They have huge populations.
But Korea, Japan, Southeast Asia is huge. We've been working with Mexico. They have a number of technical universities where they want to create formal partnerships and have student exchanges. All things that do flow through us.
All of this creates excitement, but doesn't it also create a sense of urgency to be able to accommodate all these different people and cultures?
So much.
I mean, how do you keep up with the sort of demand side of it and make sure that you're providing a good quality result for the people who are through it, and then they're not just getting mass herded into something where it's confusion and pandemonium? It seems to me that would lend itself to that if you didn't have control.
Well, great staff.
Having good people make a difference.
Great staff, great advisors, people who are there to walk folks through the path. I think strategic partnerships is key. So you notice I didn't say we're in 47 different countries.
Right.
We're targeting those countries that we know we have expertise on campus that we can engage with. We know that there's universities on the other side that make sense to partner with.
And that they prepared their students for this experience.
So I think it's about the strategic nature of where you target to bring students in and to what programs and degrees it makes sense.
If any of this is making sense to you, and it should, if you're an entrepreneur, then you need to make sure you get in touch with Chris at Cal State Fullerton and get engaged with his program, because he's doing innovative stuff every day, and probably by the next time I have you here to come talk to me, you'll be doing a completely different program. Let's talk a little bit, though, about the future, and then I want to talk a little bit about your classroom experience, because you're not just an administrator and an entrepreneur on campus, you're also an instructor, and so you deal with undergraduates as well. What's the future hold as you look out across Cal State Fullerton's horizon? I know you guys are always looking well beyond a few years in the advance. So what's on the horizon for you?
I think, there's so many different ways to answer that question.
Pick one that won't get you in trouble with the administration.
Yeah, well, if you look at some of the partnerships you highlighted, we have an incubator in Placentia. We have this partnership with the County of Orange, which is a lab facility in Santa Ana where we curate a number of the historic fossils and artifacts that come through Orange County. We've got our Grand Central Art Center in Santa Ana where we have an artist in residence, an art program, and gallery programs. Partnerships is key. Yeah. If I had to say the thing that's going to drive us in the future, it's where we continue to facilitate new and innovative partnerships. And that's with private companies, that's with public agencies, public-private partnership as much as we can bring together. Those are going to drive our mission. The more that we want to build labs, we can't afford to build labs on campus. We need to go to companies who have those lab facilities and partner with them and share facilities, share educational resources. We need to partner with our colleagues at the UC and community colleges for pathways and for access and to accomplish the large challenges, solving large challenges for Orange County.
And we're going to have both of your partners on the show later in the year. We're having Kate come in from UC and talk about what she's doing in her new role, and Glenn Rockmore and I have talked about having him on, so he's scheduled for a future show to talk about their partnership. But you also have an Irvine campus that you didn't have before. Talk a little bit about that, Chris.
So for what many people in Orange County don't know is for about 30 years we've been in South Orange County.
Yeah, nobody knew that. It was a well-hidden secret except for matriculating.
Except for anyone who wanted to go there and find parking, which was really easy. So I have the great opportunity to take our Irvine campus, which is right off Branca, 1 Banting, and help it become even better than it is today. Today, it's home for about 4,000 students that go to learn.
You got 4,000?
We do.
Wow.
It's next door to Western State. They're in one of our buildings there. But we're going to look at that facility as being a place where corporate and community engagement can occur. How can we make more accessible lab space? How can we make more accessible businesses in residence there so that our students can have access to that? But what's really an interesting thing is you talked about the Cove and what Kate's doing there,
Right.
and really great work by UCI. We have about 10,000 square feet that we're bringing in our Business and Entrepreneurship Center there in Irvine.
That's excellent.
SBDC is going to be there, partnered with our office with some hoteling space that we can have for businesses that are looking for services, a corporate training facility on site there, and then a number of uses that we're bringing in, including an incubator space for entrepreneurs who are looking to launch smaller applied businesses.
All of which ties right back into what you were talking about before. You're trying to customize education for the enterprises.
Right.
Now you're trying to give them a place to incubate the enterprises
That's right.
that you'll help. So all very interesting stuff. Is that the time? Time flies by on this show. I swear we're closing in on the end. We're going to have you back because there's way too much to talk about. And I want to catch up a little bit more when you get that Irvine Campus Incubator up on what you're doing in these programs. So thanks for doing that. Briefly, though, before I let you go, talk a little bit about your classroom experience. I've gotten a chance to lecture in your classes. Tell me about what you do with undergraduates.
So I have my master's, so I'm allowed to teach as an adjunct at Cal State.
Which is frightening to those of us that know him in his other life.
That's right.
Professor Reese.
I feel so much that I want to understand the entire learning experience. I want to understand what it's like to teach, what it's like to have to build a curriculum, what it's like to lecture. I want to understand the students of the day and what the experiences they're feeling, what it's like to mentor, and that engagement side of the education process. Yeah. So I jumped into teaching, and I've had the absolute fortune to teach our local government course and bring a lot of my friends in. Now, I'm going to be honest, I am not a heavy theory-based academic. I'm not interested in my PhD, and I've been much more interested in the applied world of politics. And
but I think that's what makes your class interesting, because when you're talking to the students in your class, they ask really smart questions about engagement because you've been engaging them on what really happens in the real world. It's not theory, right? Not political science.
So we throw some theory there in the lecture, but a lot of it is me helping them understand public administration as a work product, public administration and the respect that we should have for our bureaucrats of the world and the work that they go through in the local government to keep our roads paved and keep the water flowing. And frankly, I have a great love for local government. So teaching that course gives me the opportunity to bring in people in the field, to bring in a lot of our department heads and directors and city managers who maybe don't get celebrated, but also to have the students start to build their own personal networks and learn who the professionals in the field are so that they can associate that with the workforce. So that when they graduate, it's, I've met a city manager, I've met a director of public works,
and I know what they do.
A planner, and I know what they do.
I know what they do, and that makes sense. Great engagement. Listen, I'm almost out of time, so I got to run. We're going to do our feature, and we're going to close this show. But those of you who have the opportunity, contact Chris and get more information. We'll have you back on the show, Chris, if you'll come back. I'm going to do our feature now. It's called, for this week, You Can't Make This Stuff Up. And this was a story I saw this week, and so I moved features around just so I could cover it, because I just found it a fascinating story where culture and government and a lot of other things all sort of converge. So there's a married couple of two gay men in Canada who asked a surrogate to carry a baby for them because they wanted to have a child. So found a surrogate. They each provided sperm to the surrogate for a donation, and ends up she has twins. And they do DNA testing on the twins and find out one is from one father, one from another. One father is an American living in Canada. The other is an Israeli who's living in Canada. So the natural result of this under the law is the child with the DNA of the American father is a natural-born American citizen. The child with the DNA of the Israeli father now has to be naturalized in America. They're unhappy about that. One's eligible to be president of the United States, one isn't. That's how that cultural thing kind of converges. Obviously, the surrogate wasn't American, so that didn't help the other. And I just found an interesting story of how culture and government and the new family are all converging in the 21st century. You can't make this stuff up. All right, that's our show for this week. Remember to get hold of us at Orange Slice. Don't forget to reach out to Chris. We'll see you here next Wednesday. Our guest will be Nicole Saddam, who's the CEO of Second Harvest Food Bank. We'll talk a little bit about food insecurity in wealthy Orange County. We were talking about the wealth of Orange County. You'd be surprised to know about people who are hungry. We'll have another feature for you next week. We'll always have little snapshots on the news. Until then, have a great week, make good decisions, and we'll see you next week on Java with Jerry.